Are we connected or just reachable? Welcome to Tune In Life, your retreat from the noise in a world that never stops scrolling, with your hosts.
Hi, I'm Dr. Eille, business psychologist. I believe creativity is the antidote to burnout.
And I'm Mr. Joy, AI pipeline engineer and poet. I'm on the search for truth and a joyful heart.
We're here for the feels and the real talk.
Now, let's dive into the small intentional shifts that can help us live with more presence and ease. So tune out the noise with us and tune in live.
Today, we're talking about what we call the connection illusion. Why being constantly connected doesn't always make us feel close, and what we might be missing underneath all that noise. The other day, I noticed a couple sitting at a table in a restaurant. They're eating together, but both scrolling. And I caught myself wondering, when did this become normal? When did being physically present start to feel optional? What struck me wasn't the phones. It was the quiet absence of attention.
I recently saw something that was really similar. A couple holding hands and walking down the street. Guess what they had in their free hands? Cell phones. And they were both staring at their phones while walking down the street, hand in hand. I wonder how much of that walk they even remember. Are they really connected to each other and sharing a moment? Or are they just together but not really sharing the moment? What's the point of that?
Yes, I don't want to live a life on an autopilot mode. Our brain's amazing. While we're constantly computing and automating things, I find myself losing awareness, losing the moment, so to speak. With all this technology, there are times that I don't even know how I got home while I drove myself home.
That's the irony. All these connections cause us to be disconnected. How many times have I found myself watching a concert through my cell phone while I'm taking a video instead of looking at the stage right in front of me and being there in the moment?
Moments like that aren't just about phones. They're about habits our minds have developed in a hyperconnected world. Psychologically, humans are wired for intimacy, not efficiency. Attention is limited, and multitasking, especially with digital devices, is an illusion that diminishes our ability to be present.
Exactly. And technology isn't neutral. Algorithms are designed to pull us back to the screen, to keep us engaged. Companies are trying to take our attention because our attention is their profit. That's why they call it the attention economy. They measure success in likes, clicks, and shares, not in emotional closeness. We're constantly reachable, but mostly we're just spending our time on a service that gets paid for the number of people looking at that service.
Funny, this month I'm taking a break from LinkedIn. So many daily notifications. Sure, I love reading and staying in touch with my connections blast, but it seems like I'm losing a human touch, and that can create anxiety. We're scrolling, checking in, reacting, but rarely pausing to notice how we feel or how the people around us feel. That's why so many of us report feeling lonely even when we're connected all the time.
I got off social media for years after I heard a story on NPR about how social media was leading to major mental health and social anxiety issues for a whole bunch of people. This was in the golden age of Facebook and during heated national elections. Between stress and intense things happening and the rise of FOMO as we saw people living their best lives online, it seemed like everyone was becoming depressed, stressed, and anxious due to social media.
I remember that.
Yeah, I decided I would get back onto social media when I could make it a positive part of my life, not a negative part of my life. That led me in part to launching Tune In Life with you. This is our chance to create a social media platform focused on connection, real talk, and real awareness. Making the most of these platforms, in my opinion, this is what I've been waiting for.
It's exciting to launch a platform to make a connection with like-minded people. Ironically, we're connecting with you, the listeners, through a device. Here's why we need your help. We want to hear from you and get some ideas around how we can make this podcast more of a human connection and experience.
Right. The point of this is to make this a shared experience where we uplift each other. So tell us, do you have a community, a space where you feel safe and connected? At work, on a daily basis, a group of colleagues and I have a thread where we share how we truly are doing each day. We check in with each other and talk about difficult things we're going through personally so we can support each other and find ways to really help each other out.
You're lucky to have a group like that at work. It's especially challenging to be vulnerable in the workplace. Isn't vulnerability all about connections?
I do feel so lucky to have a group dedicated to supporting our mental health through real talk. How interesting to relate connection to vulnerability. It does seem like the depth of connection comes out in what some might call vulnerable moments. For example, I have a text thread with my neighbors, and when my cat was sick, my community thread all came together to help me diagnose the issue. They helped me find a vet and care for my cat. They even gave me rides to and from the vet as I shared updates over our chat. So clearly our digital relationships can really manifest in beautiful ways during vulnerable moments in my personal experience. But what about you? How have social media and text thread relationships been there for you?
That's a beautiful story. Connection through technology comes in handy, especially in an emergency. Can you imagine a world where there's no phone to reach your loved ones in an emergency? Also, your story led me to think about connections beyond human or technical, but also with animals. Our connections with our pets is something truly special, especially in modern life. I see heartfelt bonds between humans and animals. Even looking at animal videos warms my heart. No wonder there must be millions of animal videos online connecting people all over the world.
You raise so many good points and bring up many hidden truths as we're exploring the connection illusion. People are so emotionally invested in their pets and even in local birds and wildlife. Take it from me, I know. But the relationship we have with them is so different from the relationship we have with other people. Do cats really feel as close to us as we do to them, for example? What about birds or fish? Can we scientifically differentiate a real relationship from one that's all in our heads? How many relationships do we have with people that don't even exist? Characters on TV shows or authors we've never met from books that we've read.
It begs the question about what real connection means. Lately, my connection with AI is developing rapidly. Like in the movie Her, where the protagonist falls in love with AI, sometimes I imagine if I would feel for my AI when it sounds so understanding, which is incomparable to my real relationship with real people. Can I replace my mom with AI? Joke, of course. But at times, truly AI offers the depth of understanding which I can't have in real human relationships. So where do we go from here?
I know what you mean. I love my mom. I would never want to replace her with AI, but I know some people who do. And I'm sure there are some relationships I would prefer were only with a computer. I can tell you. I recently gave a lecture about mental health risks of AI. One of the top risks is replacing relationships with real people with relationships with AI. There are folks that have gone down some dark paths in the course of artificial relationships. This is slightly different, but have you heard about those romance scams where People pretend to form relationships with someone online or over the phone, but the only reason is to scam them out of their money or personal information, like that show Catfish. What do you call that kind of connection?
It's so disheartening to hear that there are people who take advantage of the human nature of connection and vulnerability and create deceptive illusions. I wonder what kind of connections these individuals experience in real life. Are they capable of having real relationship or connections? I heard about the criminal case of a con artist who stole people's money and supported her own parents with that money. What was her family relationship like, I wonder? If she was capable of having a caring relationship, perhaps, how could she be so conniving and cruel to others? What do you think?
Good question. What does it say when we use one relationship for personal gain in order to give to another relationship? We will invest in our relationship with our boss, not because we necessarily like them as a person or feel a real connection to them, but because of expectations of the job and for our career. Obviously, a lot of work relationships can be beautiful and real and just manifest into great experiences in our lives. And some are simply transactional and based on circumstance. But can you tell the difference between a real, meaningful connection with a colleague and one that's manipulative by them or by you or simply circumstantial?
Please don't get me started. Since the transformation of organizational culture is my passion, it pains me to see through, for lack of a better word, phony relationship in the workplace. People can't seem to understand what's really going on. I have met narcissistic bosses or even people exhibiting antisocial personality traits with pathological lies. This is true at work and even at home. How can we be real? How can we be true?
And how do we even know the difference? With all these connection illusions, what can we do to focus our time and energy on the real connections? What is the meaning of deep connections? And what is the value of the connection illusions? They surely serve a purpose. I don't think that connection illusions really point out something wrong with us or human relationships necessarily, but they do point out where we need to be mindful, aware of the truth about our relationships and the reasons for them. How can we be aware of each type of connection and the meaning behind it?
We're just scratching the surface here. I want to reiterate that Tune in Life isn't about discussing what is right or wrong, better or worse. It's about creating a space and human connection, even through a podcast platform. We want to converse ideas openly and invite different thoughts and insight. It's not about agreeing or disagreeing, but tuning into each other. If one listener today feels a connection to be curious and feel genuinely invited to tune in through our voices, my job's done.
Exactly. Nobody has all the answers for these deep questions. This is about having a conversation that brings more clarity to us all, so we can all live more tuned in to our truth. Now, let's talk about it. Please share some of your stories with us. When you are with your closest relations, your family, partner, closest friends, how often are you really with them? And how often are you just present? How does this impact your sense of closeness with them?
How much of your relationships are on autopilot? And how much do you make a point to be in that moment?
Or how do you handle digital technology in your relationships? How does it work well for you? And how does it just take up your time or make you stressed?
What type of connection do you want to have with your colleagues, neighbors, friends, and family? Good questions to wonder and ponder, as I like to say. Let's carve out some time, a real break from the autopilot mode. Maybe we can go outside in nature, look at the sky, take a deep breath, and exhale. Notice the moment. Notice where we are. Notice what we hear. Ultimately, for me, noticing my inner voice and tuning into what I want in my relationship and tuning out the statics and noise can be vital. I cherish the moments of having a real, honest connection with myself.
Me too. What about you, listener? How do you get out of autopilot and really connect with life? What helps you tune into your surroundings and your relationships? Tell us all about it. Here are some things that work for me personally. I love, very similar to Dr. Eille, getting outside, and I like closing my eyes and listening to all the sounds around me and just connecting with that tapestry of noise. I also really like listening to others without waiting to talk. Setting aside my inner critic and letting myself just be curious about what they say. I try to make a point to ask questions that dig deeper and not respond with my own thoughts.
Let's assess our relationships honestly. Ask yourself if you really know and care about the other person and if they care about you in the moment. If I could have a deeper relationship but have not made the effort, what can I do to deepen the relationship? Grab a cup of coffee together? Share our common interests in person? The options are truly endless.
Great suggestions, Dr. Eille. I can't wait to hear from you, listener. Please tell us what works for you. Thank you so much for joining in the conversation with us today.
Let's stay connected. So don't just tune in.
Tune in live.